My dear child. There is a reason your heart feels unusually restless today, because while you were wondering whether anyone truly understood your soul, somewhere, words left the lips of the person destiny has been quietly preparing for you. They did not plan to say your name, yet they couldn't keep the truth hidden any longer. Someone noticed the change in their voice, someone asked why their eyes carried both hope and longing. And in a moment they never expected, a truth escaped that can never be taken back. But what they confessed was not what anyone imagined, and before this message ends, you will understand why heaven allowed that conversation to happen exactly when it did. Do not rush ahead in your thoughts, because the most important part has not been revealed yet. There are moments I allow silence to accomplish what words never could. Then there are moments when silence has completed its purpose. And truth must finally step into the light. This is one of those moments. The soul connected to yours has carried feelings they could barely explain, even to themselves. For a long time, they convinced their mind that what they felt would eventually disappear. They buried memories that refused to stay buried. They distracted themselves with routines, responsibilities, and conversations that meant very little. Yet every path they chose somehow circled back to you. They never fully understood why. Not because you demanded their attention. Not because you chased after them. But because something far greater than chance continued placing your presence before their heart. And then, something unexpected happened. Someone close to them asked a simple question. It seemed ordinary. It sounded harmless. But sometimes the smallest question unlocks the biggest truth. They paused longer than usual. Their heartbeat betrayed what their lips had tried to hide. Instead of giving an easy answer, they spoke from the deepest place inside them. Not perfectly. Not dramatically. Simply, honestly. They admitted there is someone they cannot forget. Someone whose kindness lingers after every memory fades. Someone whose spirit feels strangely familiar. Someone whose absence somehow speaks louder than the noise surrounding them. They never needed to say your name for the truth to become undeniable. Because truth carries a weight that no performance can imitate. What they confessed surprised even them. The words sounded as though they had been waiting for permission to exist. And my child. Heaven heard every one of those words. Do not misunderstand what this means. This message is not telling you that every detail of tomorrow has already been decided. Every heart still has freedom. Every person still makes choices. But sincere feelings have a way of revealing themselves when the right moment arrives, and sometimes that revelation becomes the first step toward a completely different future. Even now, you may be wondering why this matters if you never heard the conversation yourself. Because not every confirmation reaches your ears before it reaches your destiny. Many things begin behind scenes you cannot yet see. Roots always grow beneath the surface before anyone witnesses the tree. In the same way, emotional truth often appears long before visible change. That is why you have felt subtle shifts you couldn't explain. The quiet pull. The unexpected memories. The strange peace arriving without warning. None of these moments were meaningless. They were gentle reminders that unseen pieces have been moving together while you believed nothing was happening. Yet there is another part of this story. A part that even the person connected to you has not fully understood. When they finished speaking, the room became unusually quiet. The person listening looked at them differently. Not with judgment. Not with disbelief. But with the kind of expression that only appears when someone realizes they have witnessed a truth that can change everything. That reaction planted a question inside your soulmate's heart. A question they cannot stop thinking about. And the answer to that question is already beginning to reshape the path that leads toward you. But before that answer is fully revealed, something even more unexpected is about to unfold. But what happened after that quiet conversation is the part almost no one would believe. It was not another confession, not another emotional speech, it was something far more powerful. A single unexpected response caused your soulmate to question everything they had been trying to hide. In that instant, a door opened inside their heart that had remained locked for far too long, and what they are beginning to realize now may become one of the greatest turning points of this journey. The silence that followed was not empty. It carried weight. Sometimes people believe the loudest moments change a life, but heaven often works through whispers, through pauses. Through the seconds when no one knows what to say next. Your soulmate sat with those words echoing in their mind. For the first time, they were no longer asking themselves whether their feelings were real. That question had already been answered. Instead, a new question quietly appeared. What if this connection was never an accident? That thought lingered long after the conversation ended. It followed them into ordinary moments. While driving. While working. While lying awake at night. No matter how hard they tried to focus elsewhere, your presence returned, not as a distraction, but as a quiet certainty they could no longer explain away. They remembered details they thought they had forgotten. A smile. A conversation. A moment of unexpected peace. A feeling they never experienced with anyone else. And suddenly, those memories no longer felt random. They began to fit together like pieces of a picture that had always existed, but had only now become visible. My child, never underestimate what happens when truth is spoken aloud. Truth has a way of awakening courage. What once seemed impossible begins to feel reachable. What once felt confusing starts becoming clear. This does not mean every obstacle disappears overnight. Growth rarely happens that way. But something inside them has changed. They are becoming more honest with themselves than they have ever been before. That honesty is quietly transforming their decisions, one choice at a time. While you have been wondering whether anyone truly sees your worth, heaven has been allowing someone else to discover it more deeply with every passing day. Not because they were forced to, but because genuine admiration cannot remain hidden forever. There is something about your spirit that continues to leave an impression long after the moment has passed. Perhaps you never noticed. Perhaps you believed your kindness went unseen. Perhaps you thought your quiet strength was invisible. Yet the heart connected to yours remembers those things far more clearly than you realize. Even your smallest acts carried meaning. Sometimes a single moment of compassion becomes unforgettable to someone who desperately needed hope. And now they are beginning to understand why they could never completely let go. Still, another layer remains hidden. After that conversation, someone asked your soulmate a question they were completely unprepared to answer. It wasn't about the past. It wasn't about timing. It wasn't even about love. It was much simpler. If this person means so much to you, what are you waiting for? Those words settled deeply within them. Not because they had an immediate answer, but because they realized they had been waiting out of fear rather than truth. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of arriving too late. Fear of discovering that what they feel might never be returned. Yet even fear begins to lose its power when truth grows stronger. And that is exactly what is happening now. Piece by piece. Moment by moment. Their heart is becoming braver than their doubts. But my child, there is one detail heaven has not revealed yet. A quiet sign is about to appear, one so ordinary that many people would overlook it completely. Yet for the two of you, it could become the beginning of a brand new chapter. The remarkable part is this. Neither of you knows when that moment will arrive. But it has already started moving toward you. There is something remarkable about the way destiny unfolds. It rarely announces itself with thunder. Instead, it arrives disguised as an ordinary moment, a brief encounter, an unexpected message, or a decision that seems small until you look back and realize it changed everything. And the next step in this story begins with one of those quiet moments. Your soulmate has started noticing patterns they once ignored. The same thought returning at unexpected times. The same feeling of peace whenever your memory crosses their mind. The same quiet pull that refuses to disappear, no matter how busy life becomes. At first, they dismissed it. They called it coincidence. They told themselves they were simply overthinking. But the heart recognizes what the mind often delays accepting. And every day, that quiet recognition is becoming harder to silence. My child, there is a difference between missing someone, and feeling deeply connected to who they are becoming. Your soulmate is no longer remembering only the past. They are beginning to imagine the future. Not with certainty. Not with perfect answers. But with hope. Hope has entered places where fear once lived. That change is more significant than it appears. Because every meaningful journey begins with a single change inside the heart before it is ever seen in the outside world. While this transformation has been unfolding within them, another quiet work has been taking place within you. Perhaps you have been learning patience. Perhaps you have been rebuilding your confidence after disappointment. Perhaps you have been discovering that your value was never determined by who recognized it, but by the light you have carried all along. None of those seasons were wasted. Every lesson strengthens something inside you that will matter when the next chapter begins. Sometimes I delay an answer, not to deny you, but to prepare both hearts for what neither could have handled before. That preparation is never punishment. It is protection. It is wisdom unfolding one step at a time. Now listen carefully. There was one sentence your soulmate spoke after everyone else thought the conversation was over. Almost in a whisper. Almost as if they were speaking more to themselves than to anyone around them. They said, "I just hope they're happy." Those words carried no bitterness. No jealousy. No resentment. Only genuine care. In that quiet moment, they realized something that surprised even them. Their deepest desire was not simply to be understood. It was to see you flourish. That is the kind of feeling that grows stronger through honesty rather than fading with time. Yet heaven was not finished revealing their heart. Soon afterward, they found themselves wondering something they had avoided for far too long. What if I've been waiting for the perfect moment, when all along I only needed the courage to take the first step? That question has not left them. It follows them into their quietest hours. It returns whenever they picture your smile. It whispers whenever they think about the possibilities they almost allowed to pass by. Sometimes the greatest breakthrough begins with a single unanswered question. And this question is slowly becoming impossible for them to ignore. But my child, there is another piece you have not seen. Someone unexpected is about to notice this change within them. Not because your soulmate intends to reveal it. But because real transformation cannot remain hidden forever. The people around them are beginning to sense that something has shifted. Their perspective is changing. Their priorities are changing. Even the way they speak about life is changing. They may not understand the reason. But heaven does. Because when truth settles deeply into a heart, it naturally begins to shape every decision that follows. And one decision, just one, can quietly set an entirely new path into motion. The remarkable part is that this decision has not yet been made. It is approaching. Closer than either of you realizes. And when that moment finally arrives, the choice before them will reveal just how much this truth has transformed their heart. That choice is the next part of this story. The next chapter does not begin with a grand declaration. It begins with a quiet battle that no one else can see. While the world continues as if nothing has changed, your soulmate stands at the edge of a decision that feels far bigger than anyone around them realizes. There is no audience, no applause, only a heart asking one question over and over again: if I stay silent now, will I regret it for the rest of my life? That question is becoming impossible to escape. And what happens because of it is closer than they ever imagined. My child, courage is rarely born in moments of comfort. It is born in the moments when someone realizes they have more to lose by remaining silent than by speaking honestly. That realization has begun to take root inside them. Not all at once. Not in dramatic fashion. But quietly. Steadily. Like the first light appearing before sunrise. For so long, they convinced themselves there would always be another opportunity. Another season. Another perfect circumstance. Another day when everything would somehow feel easier. But life has a way of reminding every heart that tomorrow is never guaranteed to look exactly like today. And because of that realization, they have begun paying closer attention to the moments they once overlooked. A familiar name. An unexpected memory. A conversation that reminds them of you. Even simple things now seem to carry deeper meaning. Not because the world has suddenly changed, but because their heart has. When the heart awakens, ordinary moments begin to feel extraordinary. That is the quiet work heaven often does. Not by forcing events, but by changing the way people see them. While this transformation unfolds within them, I have also been strengthening something inside you. There were days you wondered if waiting had any purpose. There were nights when unanswered questions seemed louder than hope. Yet even in those moments, your spirit was learning something precious. Patience was becoming wisdom. Disappointment was becoming resilience. And hope, though tested, was becoming stronger rather than weaker. Nothing you endured with sincerity has been meaningless. Every season has added depth to your heart. Every challenge has refined your character. Every unanswered prayer has quietly taught you to trust beyond what your eyes could see. Now another unexpected moment is approaching. Your soulmate recently found themselves alone with their thoughts. No distractions. No conversations. No noise. Just silence. And in that silence, something remarkable happened. Instead of asking, "What if this never works?" they asked, "What if I never give it a chance?" Do you see the difference? One question is ruled by fear. The other is inspired by possibility. That small shift changes everything. Because the future is rarely transformed by having every answer. It is transformed when someone becomes willing to take one honest step despite not knowing every outcome. Still, there is one final hesitation lingering within them. It is not doubt about their feelings. That uncertainty has faded. It is uncertainty about timing. They wonder whether too much time has passed. Whether life has carried each of you too far in different directions. Whether the opportunity they quietly hoped for still exists. Yet there is something they do not know. While they have been wrestling with those questions, unseen pieces have continued moving into place. Conversations. Circumstances. Unexpected opportunities. Small moments that appear unrelated. Yet together they are preparing the ground for something neither of you can fully recognize yet. My child, destiny often moves long before people notice its footsteps. That is why faith grows in silence before it celebrates in daylight. And now, another quiet sign is drawing near. Not loud enough for everyone to notice, but unmistakable for the heart that has been paying attention. When it appears, your soulmate will understand that remaining silent is no longer the easiest path. They will realize that some opportunities are too meaningful to ignore. And the choice they make after recognizing that sign will begin a chapter neither of you has been able to imagine until now. But that chapter starts with a single moment. A moment that is about to arrive when they least expect it. Just when it seems nothing is happening, everything begins to move at once. The heart that once hesitated starts recognizing opportunities it would have overlooked before. A passing moment suddenly feels significant, an ordinary day carries unexpected meaning, and your soulmate begins to realize that waiting forever is no longer an answer. They cannot explain why this urgency has awakened now. Only that it feels as though something gentle, yet powerful, is inviting them to stop hiding what has become impossible to deny. My child, every meaningful journey reaches a moment when preparation must become action. For a long time, your soulmate believed they needed complete certainty before taking even one step. But complete certainty rarely comes first. Courage comes first. Then clarity follows. That lesson has been quietly unfolding within them. They have started imagining what life would feel like if they continued pretending these feelings did not exist. The answer brought no peace. Instead, it revealed an emptiness they could no longer ignore. Not because their life lacks purpose, but because some connections awaken parts of the heart that refuse to return to sleep. Your presence has become one of those quiet awakenings. Without realizing it, they have begun speaking about the future differently. Where they once said, maybe someday, they now find themselves thinking, what if that day is closer than I believed? Hope has replaced hesitation more often than fear now. And every time hope wins, even by a little, the path ahead becomes clearer. Meanwhile, I have been shaping something inside you as well. You have been learning not to measure your worth by silence. Not every unanswered moment is rejection. Sometimes it is simply a season where unseen pieces are finding their place. The strength you gained while no one applauded. The kindness you continued to offer when life felt uncertain. The quiet faith you held onto when nothing seemed to change. Those qualities have become part of who you are. And they have not gone unnoticed. Even when you believed no one truly saw you, your character was leaving an impression deeper than words ever could. Now another unexpected moment is approaching. Your soulmate recently found themselves smiling at a memory they had not thought about in a long time. It arrived without warning. No one mentioned your name. Nothing reminded them on purpose. Yet there it was. A memory so vivid it felt as though time itself had briefly paused. Instead of pushing it away, they allowed themselves to sit with it. They realized something surprising. The happiest memories were not always the loudest ones. Sometimes they were the quiet conversations. The shared laughter. The feeling of simply being understood. That realization brought peace rather than confusion. And peace often becomes the strongest confirmation a heart can receive. Still, one question remains. They are wondering whether the door is still open. Whether life has left room for a new beginning. Whether the connection they once tried to silence could still grow into something beautiful. Those questions have no easy answers. But they have begun searching for them instead of running from them. That alone marks a profound change. Because hearts that search with sincerity often discover possibilities they never expected. Now listen carefully. There is a moment approaching that neither of you can plan. It will seem ordinary at first. So ordinary that many people would walk past it without a second thought. Yet for the two of you, it may become the moment everything begins to feel different. Not because every mystery will instantly disappear. But because one small step has the power to change the direction of an entire journey. And when that first step is finally taken, you will understand why every season of waiting was preparing both hearts for this very chapter. But before that step is revealed, there is one final truth your soulmate has yet to admit, even to themselves. And when that truth finally reaches the surface, nothing inside them will ever be quite the same again. There is always one truth that changes everything, not because it appears suddenly, but because it has been quietly growing beneath the surface for far longer than anyone realized. Your soulmate is standing at that very moment now. They have stopped asking whether these feelings are real. And have started asking what kind of person they want to become because of them. That question is opening a door no fear has been able to keep closed, and beyond that door lies a revelation they never expected to find. My child, love that is rooted in sincerity does more than stir emotions. It inspires growth. It teaches patience. It softens pride. It gives someone the courage to become more honest than they have ever been before. That is what has been happening inside the heart connected to yours. Slowly. Quietly. Without anyone else fully understanding it. They have begun noticing how much they have changed since you first entered their life. The things that once mattered most no longer seem as important. The endless need to prove themselves. The constant search for approval. The fear of being vulnerable. Those burdens have started losing their grip. Not because every problem has disappeared, but because something greater has captured their attention. They have discovered that genuine connection is not built on perfection. It is built on authenticity. And every time they remember you, they are reminded of the version of themselves they truly want to become. That realization has become one of their greatest teachers. While this transformation continues, I want you to understand something just as important. Do not believe that your waiting has been empty. Every season that tested your heart also strengthened it. Every disappointment taught you compassion. Every unanswered question deepened your wisdom. You may have wished for quicker answers. But the person you are becoming is worth far more than rushing toward an unfinished chapter. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not arriving sooner. It is arriving when both hearts have grown enough to recognize its value. Now another quiet moment unfolds. Your soulmate recently imagined a future conversation with you. Not because they knew exactly what they would say. But because, for the first time, imagining that conversation no longer filled them with fear. Instead, it filled them with peace. They pictured honesty. They pictured listening. They pictured speaking without pretending to be someone they are not. That image stayed with them long after the moment passed. It became less like a dream, and more like a possibility. My child, possibilities are powerful. Every meaningful change in life begins as a possibility before it becomes reality. The heart must first believe a new chapter can exist before the feet ever begin walking toward it. That belief is quietly awakening inside them. Yet heaven has one final lesson for both of you. Do not chase what is built on pressure. Do not force what requires wisdom. The strongest relationships are not sustained by urgency alone. They are sustained by truth, respect, grace, and the willingness to meet one another with open hearts. That is why every step of this journey has mattered. Nothing has been wasted. Not the waiting. Not the questions. Not even the silence. Each season has been shaping something precious that could not have been formed any other way. And now, as your soulmate continues walking toward greater honesty, as you continue walking in hope rather than fear, the distance between those two paths grows smaller with every lesson learned. One day you will look back and realize that what seemed like delays were often quiet preparations. That what felt like closed doors were sometimes gentle invitations to grow. And that the greatest truth your soulmate finally shared about you was not simply that they cared. It was that knowing you changed them in ways they could never fully explain. Carry that thought with you today. Walk forward with peace. Continue becoming the person you were created to be. Because hearts transformed by sincerity leave a lasting light wherever they go. And sometimes, the most beautiful chapters begin long before anyone realizes the story has already changed.